Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I'm recording this slightly earlier in the day than usual, and that is because this could be a long video indeed. Yesterday's puzzle, which was by Toolcat, had been recommended many times very quickly to us. This puzzle, which was published some months ago, tends to get recommendations. You know, it comes in at sort of once a week where someone just begs us to have a go at it. And it's got a 100% rating on Logic Masters Germany. It has 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty. And I have read the rules twice now, and I still can't quite believe this puzzle exists. And you'll see what I mean when I read them to you. It feels absolutely impossible that this can have a unique solution, let alone one findable by a human being. But Numbered Regions, it's by Jesper Josefsson. Now, Jesper is one of the most brilliant constructors in the world, a complete genius. He and his brother Magnus have done so much for the world of puzzles over the last few years. Incredible people. And I really hope I'll be able to solve this, but there is a risk that this video will never be seen because I will fail. But if you're hearing these words, that means I might have succeeded. No spoilers. Let's see. Anyway, I'll read you the rules in just a moment or two. I don't have any birthdays today to announce, so it's really just a reminder. If you are a patron of the channel over on Patreon, there are 2 things going on. The first is the magnificent numeric alchemy Sudoku hunt by J. Dyer, the quest to turn digits into gold. I know many of you have been solving that, and we're going to get to the shout-outs for that hunt in due course. But you've still got till the 20th of January to send in your solutions for that one. So that one is much less time-sensitive than this one, which is the Phistomefel Sudoku hunt. And this one, if you're going to send in your solution, you've got 1 day left. We've dubbed this the Sudoku event of the year, maybe the century, Phistomefel's first ever hunt. And I'm going to read out some names of people who have sent in the final answer. It's very well done to VJ Toko. I enjoyed your story about your father, VJ. Grufty, Dan Sheldon, Martin Arts, Daniel Abrams, John Rice, Don Stanley, Hendrik and Alex, Sven Ole Berend, Alice Borderier, Nina Schwint, Alan Bagg, Jack Hatchett, James Farrer and Taran Atavar. You are the latest solvers. And I've got lots more to read out. Do not worry about that. So if you haven't heard your name yet, you just be patient with us and we will get to you in due course. But let us have a look at Numbered Regions by Jesper, and I'm going to read you this rule set. I've got an example puzzle here, so why don't we look at this as we read the rules, and you'll see what I mean about how this feels close to magic. So our task is to divide the grid into regions, each consisting of 9 orthogonally connected cells. Now, orthogonally connected, let's deal with that first, because some people don't like that word. 2 cells are orthogonally connected if they share an edge. If they share a point, so if we had those 2 cells, they are not orthogonally connected because they only touch each other at a point. We could make these 2 cells orthogonally connected to one another by just inserting another cell so that each cell is connected to another by a long edge, and that would make those 3 orthogonally connected. So that's how orthogonal connections work. Each row, column and region must contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. You can see in the example puzzle there's just the numbers 1 to 6, but in the puzzle we're going to have to do, we're going to have to make 9 cell regions. The digit in the top left cell of a region, its leftmost cell in its highest row, is its region number. All region numbers are different. If a cell, and this is where it gets complicated, if a cell with the digit x in a region with the number n contains an arrow, then the cell x steps away in the indicated direction belongs to the region numbered n plus 1. Not all possible arrows are given. Now, I'm reading that and I'm very much aware that if that's the first time you've heard that, that's going to sound baffling. And I've read it 3 times now, and it's still fairly baffling to me. Well, I mean, the most baffling thing about it is how can it possibly work? Let's look at this example puzzle. Now you can see in the example puzzle, let's start with the top left cell in each of the coloured regions. And you can see that Jesper has put a circle around each of these, each of those cells. And if we go through them, they are a set of the digits 1 to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these circled digits are all different. That's one of the requirements of the rules. And these act as sort of labels for the regions they're in. So the yellow region is the 3rd region, the blue region is the 4th region, the purple region is the 5th region. And then if we just take an arrow, let's take an arrow, let's take the 2 arrow here in the 5th region, and we go 2 steps along in the direction of the arrow. So we go from this cell to this cell, and we reach this 1. Now that 1 is in the 6th region, i.e. the n+1th region from the 5th region, which the 2 was a part of. So that's how these arrows work. And let's find another one. Let's look at this 3. So this 3 is in the 1st region. There's the 1 indicating that this is the 1st region. So we go 3 steps along and we should find a cell that's in the 2nd region. 1, 2, 3. And that 5 is indeed in the region with the 2 in its top left hand corner. So I sort of get it, but the thing I'm struggling to understand is how we're possibly ever going to be able to, look at the grid. I mean, it's not exactly chock-a-block with arrows, but apparently we're not only going to be able to fill this grid with region borders, we're going to be able to allocate into each region's top leftmost cell a number that sort of coordinates how the arrows work. It feels backwards to me. But anyway, I've no doubt it is possible. Some 60 people have solved this, so very well done to them. I hope I'm going to make it 61. But I would urge you, Jesper Josefsson's puzzles are a gift to the universe. If you have time, give this a try. You never know. And I guarantee that if you solve it, I think I can guarantee this. I guarantee if you solve this, you will get the most incredible sense of satisfaction, because that is what I'm hoping for today. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play Let's Get Cracking, and I say let's get cracking without a clue really what to do. There's only one thing I think I can do here, and that's I'm going to go through all of the arrows, probably, maybe not all of them, but certainly any arrow that's pointing that's relatively close to an edge. So this arrow is pointing down here. Now if I understand the rules correctly, this cell cannot be more than a 3, because I have to go a maximum of 3 steps along this arrow's path to find the region that is not this region, but the next numbered region to whatever region this cell is in. So that cannot be more than 3, because that would take us off the grid. So I think that's got to be a 1, 2 or a 3. That cell's got to be a 1 or a 2. That cell's got to be a 1, 2 or a 3. See, that cell's going to have loads of options. Let's find that one. Should we do that one? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just double checking. As ever with very difficult puzzles, I find myself second guessing. That's got to be, I think, a maximum of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I find myself second guessing what my brain is telling me. That's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. Oh! Okay, that's a given digit. That's a 1. This arrow here can only go down 1 cell. But of course we don't know what numbered region this is in. I'm just pausing there. I'm just wondering whether I can... Is there some reason that this is in the region, that this is the top leftmost cell of its region? No, that won't work. I don't think. Because there's going to have to be a cell in this region. If this was the top leftmost cell in its region, and this is in a different region, there aren't 18 cells there, are there? There are only 16, so that doesn't work. So I'm going to have to poke out into a higher row, which means that can't be its top leftmost cell. Right, so that's interesting, but perhaps not a killer deduction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 5, up to a 5 again. That one I think has up to 6. I think I'm not going to label things that can be 6 different digits. That feels like everything's going to go crazy if I do that. No. I was wondering whether I could get, you know, sort of a triple or something. I mean, it's not that far away from a triple there. If I could reduce this to not being 4 or 5, I'd have a triple. So why is it that one... Is it possible... Of course it is possible. Okay, I was just wondering whether I could I have an arrow cell point to another arrow cell? I think that's absolutely fine. Imagine this was a 5, that was then a 3. Then this, if this was in the first region, this could be in the second region, and that would be in the third region. And providing these were all in different regions, that would be fine. Okay, so I can't use that to make progress. Right. So this seems to be the most restricted cell. And that, well, I'm just going to explore this. I've got no real feel for how this works. I'm just going to make this a 1 just for a moment and see if I can understand what that means. So this would be in a region, and these two cells would be in different regions, because this 1 is pointing at this cell and it's pointing at that cell, which have to be in different regions to it. And these, right, and those purple cells must both be in the same region, because we know that both of these purple cells are in the n+1th region compared to whatever this is in. Okay, that can't be a 1 now, so this would be a 2 or a 3. So, okay, so that... Oh, right, that couldn't be a 2. In this situation, where this is a 1, this can't be a 2, because then this arrow would be pointing at that cell, which should be in a different region to this cell, so that would have to be a 3. And therefore this would be pointing here, and 1, 2, 3, and here. So those, and then these cells... Right, so this is in the first region, this would be in the second region, these two blue cells would be in the third region. Oh, I see, and they have to be in the same region again. The blue cells have to be in the same region, because they must be in the n+1th region compared to this one's, and therefore they have to connect with one another, and that's relatively tricky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. Or we could do that. Now, what I'm wondering is whether I need to abandon this on the basis that this is all starting with a conjecture, or whether I should keep exploring how this works. Oh, actually, I don't like the look of this, in the sense that I don't think this works, does it? It's actually, that is quite interesting. There's some sort of there's some ringiness going on. I've got to connect those blues together. And it seems to me, at least, that the way I would have to connect these blues together to make a 9-cell region is with a fairly efficient path. I don't know where that path goes. It could go across the top, and it could go like that, or it could go across the bottom. What it cannot do is sort of wend its way down here. Because if it's inefficient, i.e. it doesn't go in a fairly straight line, if it doesn't always make progress towards this blue cell, then it's going to have too many cells in it, because to connect those very simply, we get a 9-cell region. So if I start being inefficient, there's going to be no way of getting back without that being a 10-cell region or more. I mean, let's just prove that to ourselves. You can see that is, what's that? Is that 11 cells, in fact? So somehow or other, the blue cells connect to one another. Let's just do that for the sake of argument. Now the question must arise: how do you connect the purples to one another? Now there's a lot more latitude to do that. However, because I have to be efficient in my blue, there's no space, if you like, on one side of this. So the purples, they're going to have to ring round in such a way that it leaves room for a 9-cell green region to sit in the middle of the purple region. Well, that's never going to work. There's no way I can put a 9-cell region here and then surround, let's say I did that, which is probably about as good as I'm going to do. This purple region is going to be enormous. I don't know how big it is, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's not remotely close. So I don't think this is possible. I think there's you trap the green region in. And that is at least a deduction. Well, in fact, that gives me a digit as well, doesn't it? If this can't be a 1, it's a 2. And therefore, that cell, which I'll make green again, why not, is different to those two cells, which are in a different region. And then this one, I'm not sure what that's doing. My phone is buzzing at me. Do I need to do anything with that? No, it's fine. It's fine. Let me think. Right, so I've got a 2 here. I know that my purple region, these have to join together. And now this, I'm troubled by this now, because now it seems that whatever I put in here, if I put 1 or 3, I'm hitting the purple region. Oh, hang on. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Right. Well, how could this be a 1? That cannot be true. Because by the rule... Oh, no, hang on. No, that's clearly not right. I don't think this is right. Anyway, let us explore how this could be true. By having a 1 here, we are saying that this cell and this cell are in the nth plus 1th region compared to this 1. But we know that the green and the purple are different regions because of this arrow, which is telling us that the purple cell is in the nth plus 1th region compared to the green. So those two cannot be in the same region, so that has to not be a 1. That's a 3. And we are actually... Well, this is what was troubling me when I was thinking about this before, because I could see that this arrow was always pointing to a purple cell. Oh no, I see. This is fine. Right, okay. So now I'm going to allege that this is green. Because if it wasn't green, let's make it blue, a 3rd region. Then, let's get this right. Then we're saying that by reference to this cell, purple is in the nth plus 1th region compared to this cell. But this cell, which is not in the nth region now because it's not purple, we're saying that purple is also in the nth plus 1th region compared to this cell. Those two things cannot simultaneously be true because n needs to be different in each case. So that cell must be green, and now it works. because now by reference to this cell, this is in the nth plus 1th region. By reference to this cell, this is in the nth plus 1th region. So these two cells are in the same region, and we get another cell in this region because this 1, 2, 3, that has to be in purple as well. Now, now those can't be 3 by Sudoku. And now, well, now it looks quite difficult to connect those 3 cells together in one region. So let me just look at that. Oh no, have I broken it? Oh, you silly man. What did I do wrong? Oh, no, all right. No, I haven't broken it. Okay, I would break it if I tried to make a 9-cell region by making those purple. But I could do it by making that efficient, couldn't I? I think, in fact, that might have to be purple. Because, I need the basic task is going to be to connect those 3 purple cells together in an orthogonal group of 9 cells using only 6 more cells to do it. So, if I don't take this cell, then the best I'm going to do is these 3 over the top, or these 3 underneath. And now I have to connect this to this with only 4 cells, and I can't do it. So that doesn't work, which means that is purple. And now I've got 4, so I've got 5 to connect these 4 cells together. And I could do it like that, I could do it like that, or I could do it like that, look. Or like that. But at oh no. I was going to say whichever way I do it, I always have to take either those 3 or those 3, and that's certainly true, but I don't know how to pencil mark that. Right. Oh no, come on. What? I mean, how on earth are you meant to do this? I think perhaps... No, that's fine, isn't it? I was thinking, but perhaps I've got to use the fact that if I do this connection, I do run into another arrow, but that's fine. If the purple runs into another arrow, then this cell is just in the nth plus 1th region compared to purple, which is completely natural. If you join those up, then you've got to avoid, I can see you've got to avoid creating a sort of a feedback loop. So this cell couldn't be a 1 now, because if it was a 1, you'd be saying that purple is in the nth plus 1th region compared to green, but also green is in the nth plus 1th region compared to purple, and those two things cannot simultaneously exist. But there's no reason this cell has to be a 1. Ah, no, right. Okay, I see it. I do see it. I love this. This is so interesting. Right. Okay. How do we go across the top? And I'm not thinking about purple and green now. I'm actually thinking about that clue. I think there's going to be a region trapped in the top left. So if I connect purple to itself along here, and then with some connection that's either going to be like this or like that. Let's go for this one. This gives even more space. So it's the maximum space we've afforded in the top left of the grid. What region is that in? The answer is I have not got a Scooby-Doo, but I do know it's not in purple. Now this region needs to see a different region to its left because there's an arrow pointing to its left. So somewhere up here there is another region that's also not purple. This is so cleverly put together, isn't it? And that region has not got 9 cells to live in because it's trapped in by purple. And there's no way that we can because purple has to be efficient to reach its target. There's no way of creating space or having purple appear up here or something like that and then trying to connect green round the back. There's just not enough room. Right, so that's useful. that is useful because that means purple goes underneath to connect here, which I think means it takes those 3 cells. Now what we don't, oh, it must take that one as well, actually. It must take that one, and then one of these 2 as its final connection. Now that means this cell is pointing at one of these 2 cells, which is a new region. And I mean, wow. I mean, and then what on earth do you do next? Do I have to use the fact there are 2 regions in the top row at least? Well, no, now. Okay, now one of those regions could be green, couldn't it? So if green came into the top row, and this was looking at green, then it would be n, this would be n plus 1, this would be n plus 2, and I think that's fine. If green didn't come into the top row, maybe that gives us the same problem again. Because the region in the top row that this points at, oh, unless that's green, actually. I hadn't thought. No, okay, that can't be green. Because if that's green, the arrow that it needs to point to purple, we know that green points at purple. So if that's green, there's got to be purple in the top row, and there can't be. So that is not green. I'm going to label that a different colour then. And then I think it's true to say that if green doesn't come into the top row, then there has to be a yellow up here somewhere. But I don't think, we've only got one exit here for 18 cells of green and yellow. And I don't think there are, oh, maybe actually I can do it. No, actually I might be wrong. If I squeeze out the yellow, squeeze out that one. Yeah, there would be 9 cells just left behind. Ah, okay. So I don't think. So what on earth am I meant to do? That cell's not green. That cell's not green because were it to be green, we know green always points at purple, so it would have to be a 2 because in that geometry there is only one purple cell because the final purple is in one of these to orthogonally connect the purple up, and it would be a 2 therefore, and it would repeat in green. So that cell is a new colour, but I don't know whether it's this colour or not. It's definitely a new colour. I'll make it yellow, but I'm absolutely prepared for yellow and blue to be the same. Although maybe that's not good. Oh, that would put green in the top. No, I think that can still work. Ah. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to continue my quest to eliminate cells from being green. That is also not green now, because if that was green, it would be pointing at purple, which would make this a 1, which it can't be because of the 1 that we've got in the grid. So that cell is also not green. So that's right. So now we might want to use our pen tool to start drawing the grid in. Because this cell, I don't know what colour this cell is. It's probably that one, but I'm not sure. I'll make it grey for a moment. But it's definitely not green. So green's journey in the grid is now poking out into row 2, column 4 here. Which, now what's that doing? That feels like I'm just going to get rid of those 2 colours because I think that if I keep them in, I'm likely to think they're either different or the same. But these 2 cells, therefore, well, now there is an issue here. There is an issue. How could either of those be blue? Oh, I see. That one can still be purple, though. Well, okay, but how could either of these be blue? That's still the question I want to ask. Because if either of these is blue, to connect up with this blue, you're going to have to do that. And that would be saying there's another colour up here in the top left of the grid. Which there can't be, because you can't put a new colour in the top left. It can't get out. There's not 9 cells of space for it. So neither of these is blue. So that one in particular is a new colour. And I will make that yellow, therefore. Which means that we can draw this boundary in. And now, look, now we're getting somewhere, because yellow has barely got enough space to exist. Especially as green. Green hasn't got enough space. So, how does this work? If we maximise yellow's... Yeah, that's it. That's it. We've done it. How do we make yellow a 9-cell region now? Well, there's only one way we can give it 9 cells and allow green to escape, which it must. And that's by being efficient with yellow, takes all those cells, which means green has to come through here, which means blue has to come across here, which means purple's last cell is there, which means we can do some actual drawing in of... We've actually got a complete region. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got the bones of a green region forming. That's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, 9. It's got to be there because blue needs to get out. So all of a sudden we've actually got real progress here. Much to my surprise, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 8 cells of blue. Let's use the edge as well. So we've got only one more blue to take, which is one of these two. We've got 3 complete regions. Now, can we number the regions? No. No, I don't think so. So that cell is the number of the purple. This is the number of the green. That's the number of the yellow. And that's the number of the blue. Now, do we know that these are sequential or not? And what's that one? Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So blue is pointing at yellow, which means that cell needs to point at yellow. Which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means it's 6, 7, or 8. This cell, and this cell, all those 3 cells have to point at the same region. Now, and that can't be purple, can it? And it can't be green, actually. Oh, hang on, now I'm confused. I don't think these are sequential. Blue points at yellow. Yellow's not allowed to point at purple because green points at purple. And yellow can't point at green because that cell simply doesn't point at green. So there's some break in the cycle here. What's that digit then? So that digit is interfering in the cycle of purpliness, greenliness, yellowliness and blueliness, isn't it? Because it is pointing to something up here. So, right, that cell cannot be... It cannot be green. Well, no, hang on, that's not the way to think about it. It obviously can't be green. It's what it's pointing to. It's not pointing to purple, because we know only green points to purple. So that's not a 1. So it's either a 2, a 3, or a 4. And it's okay, it's not a 4, because if it was 4, it would be pointing at yellow, and we know only blue points at yellow, and that cannot be blue. Right, so that is a 2 or a 3, and is pointing at green. So this is a colour that points at green. Let's make it orange for its sins. So this points at... So this orange points at green. Green points at purple, and blue points at yellow, and yellow points at something that we don't know what it is. Okay. Which tells us that... I don't know what it tells us, to be honest. I've got no idea. The fact that this is 2 or 3, if that is, and it quite likely is, the top left cell, how would that not be the top left cell in its region? The only way it's not the top left cell in its region is if it picks up, well, that digit in particular. Because there's no other cell it can get to that's higher up. It would have to be a cell that's higher up in terms of rows, because that is the leftmost cell in row 5. So it would have to be that cell. It can't get to that cell only, because that's going to trap this cell in, and that's not a 9-cell region. So the only way that this is not the top left cell is if that one is also orange. Now, if this is the top left cell, we know it points to green. So this would be the 2nd or 3rd region. So this one would have to be, it couldn't be, it's the nth plus 1th region, so this would have to be a 4. So this would be a 3, this would be a 4, green points at purple, so that would be a 5. 3, 4, 5. This would be a 1 or a 2 now. 3, 4, 5, 1 or 2. 3, 4, 5. It can't... Hang on, if it's a 2, it needs to point at 3, which is that one. So that would be a 1. This would be a 2. But then this needs to point at orange, because that's the 3rd region. Ah, this is confusing me. That looks almost possible, though, actually. So that's... Let's just do that again. That's the 3rd region. That's the 4th region. That becomes the 5th region. 3, 4, 5. That now can't be 3, 4 or 5. It has to be 1 or 2. Pointing at this region, which needs to be the 2nd or 3rd region, therefore. It can't be the 3rd region, because we're saying that's the 3rd region. So that needs to be a 2. So 1, 2. This is the 3rd region. So this would need to point at this region. Oh, hang on, I've made that a 2. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Oh, I see. Right, okay. The thing I've not been concentrating on is this digit. This... Yeah, this digit is interesting. Because we know it doesn't... We know that this yellow region doesn't point at green, because that cell can't point at green. So, in terms of its quantum, we know it doesn't point at purple because green points at purple. So the quantum of this digit is at least 1, 2, 3, at least a 4. 5, 6. I'm just going to put all the options in just for a moment while I think about this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. Probably can't be 9 or it'll go off the edge of the grid. But anyway, this cell... Yeah, yes, I see. Oh, that's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's wonderful. Right, this cell, the nature of this cell is it's defining the blue region as n. So this is in n plus 1 because that's what this arrow looks at. So the difference between these digits is 1. So this can't be 7s, 8s and 9s. It's got to be 1 greater than this digit. And therefore it can't be, this digit can't be 1 or 2. Because then this would need to be 2 or 3. And we know that's not 2 or 3 because that's pointing too early and it's in the sequence on this diagonal. So this is 3, 4 or 5. This is 4, 5 or 6. Now what does that mean for this? Does that mean... Well, hang on. Doesn't that mean that this is not the top left cell in its sequence? Or have I gone crazy? If that's the top left cell, it's defining its region. We know it's looking at green. So yes, we know that, and because this can't be 2 or 3, that has to be 4. So this would be 3, this would be 4, and yes, and that would be 5, and that cell would be broken. Good grief. Right, this is huge. So orange has to get to that cell. It has to, because that cannot define its region. So that means that cell and these cells, so we must be efficient. And the reason for that is, if we introduce some new colour along this boundary, this has to be 9 cells large, and then we have to ring that 9 cells with orange in only 9 cells, and we're never going to manage to do that. So we have to be efficient in connecting these up. This cell is now a completely new number, and unfortunately I don't have a Scooby-Doo what that number is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 2 more cells that we need to put into orange. One, 2, 3, 4. So this could be pointing at orange, or it could be 5 or 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. And that will push this one up as well, of course. So if you make that 6, you've got to make that 5. And what's the relationship then between... Okay, so we've got 2 little cycles going on, haven't we? We've got we've got orange to green to purple. So that digit, and that digit are sequential, which is crazy. So I can see this can't be a 1 now, or a 2, because if that's a 1, we know that's a 2, and it can't be. And that's a 3. So in fact, we can, I think, limit this a bit. If that's a 2, that's a 3. That doesn't work. If that's a 3, no, this doesn't work. We can't make that a 3 because that's going to rule this one out. 3, 4, 5 is how that would have to go. And then this cell would have no available region total. Because remember, the top left cells of all the regions in this puzzle have to be a set of the digits 1 to 9. So it's sort of a weird disjoint thing going on. So the minimum this is 4. 4, 5, 6 doesn't work. That breaks that one. Okay, so 5, 6, 7. Now, does that work? That would make that a 4. Oh, that might not work. If you make this 5, 6, 7... then you close the cycle, because that becomes 3, that becomes 4, pointing at that digit. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you'd amalgamate the blue, yellow, green, purple, and orange thingies. Now, that could be 6 then. That would make that 7 and that 8. Why doesn't that work? 6, 7, 8. Pushes this down slightly. Pushes this down slightly. Don't know. I can't see what's wrong with that. 7, 8, 9. There are only 3 options now for this cell and this cell and this cell. What's that digit then? Do we know? We've still got to, yeah, okay, we've got to make sure that whatever this yellow one points at, these two can also be satisfied. Which, do we know what's, here's something I hadn't appreciated. That cell can't be a 1, can it? Because we know that orange points to green, which points to purple. So if purple was then to point back at orange, we'd have a cycle of ends, which we can't have. We know that orange's region is 2 less than purple's region. So this needs to point at something else. So that's a 2, not a 2. And by the same token now, this is not a 1, because that would point at orange. So that's 3, 4, or 5, and is pointing somewhere down here, possibly at that arrow. This one is pointing exactly there, and that's not orange, so that is a new colour. Let's make that grey. So we can do a region division there. Right. And now I've not got a Scooby-Doo what to do next. Although I'm finding it absolutely intriguing that this puzzle, it sort of does solve, doesn't it? It's just quite complicated to keep track of. Okay. I was wondering if I could stop yellow from mapping to orange, but that would be allowed if that's a 3. If this is a 3 or a 4 or a 5, it can't be 2. This can't be 2. Right, what on earth am I meant to look at now? Answers on a postcard, please. Sudoku, maybe. I've just seen something in row 2. Where does 2 and 3 go? Well, they can't repeat in green. They don't seem to be able to be that cell. So 2 is in one of those cells. 3 is in one of those cells in row 2. So then, okay, so then 2 and 3 in the blue region, well, 2 and 3 in row 1 are not in the yellow cells because they'd repeat if they were there. So 2 and 3 have to be in these cells, which is probably not. It's probably not good enough, is it? What about this cell is pointing? Okay, so that's pointing at another grey cell, but that grey cell is either here, here, or here. It's probably not. Well, no, it could be there. It could be there. Right. So somehow, some way, there is apparently a method that we can employ that is going to allow us to make more progress here. I am absolutely perplexed as to how that can work. Have I missed an arrow? That's most likely to be, well, that's not the most likely mistake. The most likely mistake is probably not spotting simple Sudoku, but when we're at a stage where we've got 4 digits in the grid, my ability to miss Sudoku is probably limited. Whatever that digit is has to live in one of those 4 cells. Does that matter? I don't think so. No. I don't know. Can I stop these sequences being tied together? If that's 5, then what's happening? That's 6, isn't it? So that becomes 4, which means it must point at, oh, and it does point at orange. So that works. 5, 6, 7. Because this is a 5-6 pair, makes this a 4, which means yellow now must point at the region which is labelled 5, which is this region. So that would make this, well, it wouldn't have to be, well, it would have to be a 4, and it would point at orange, which would work. But that would require those two to also point at orange. which would make this a 3. That couldn't be a 2, so there would have to be some orangeliness down here, but there could be because we've not got all the orange cells yet. So everything there works. And if this is higher than 5, 6, 7, you're knocking this down very subtly. 7, 8, 9, you're not affecting these two at all. Of course. Here's a simple deduction. How can that... Right. Well, let's start at the right end. How can that be a 9? If that's a 9, this purple region is pointing to the 10th region in the puzzle. There are no 10th regions, so that can't be a 9. Now, if that can't be a 9, that can't be an 8, that can't be a 7. So now I want to say, hang on. I now feel like, well, there's now a problem with this being a 5, isn't there? Because if that's a 5, we know that's 1 greater than it. So 5 and 6 would go in there, and this would have no value. So that's not a 5, that's not a 6. So we are slowly whittling these away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is either now pointing at orange, or it's pointing very specifically at this cell, which would not be orange. Assuming if it's not pointing at orange. 2, 3, 4. Because this is the only cell it can see that couldn't possibly be orange. Or could be orange, but needn't be orange is the correct language I'm looking for. So, no, that doesn't work. Well, it does work a bit. If that's 8... that can't be 3 then. Because if that's 8 and that's 3, this would be pointing at this, which would be the 9th region, and this arrow would then be pointing at the 10th region. It's a bit of a if this and this, then that, which is a bit too far, but that is not an 8-3 pair. Okay. So, what do we do now? I would love to know. I don't know though, I'm afraid. Maybe I don't know. I've not got anything here. I really am loath to start looking at the bottom of the grid. This all feels very remote from what I've been doing. It feels like if I can have the right thought in the top of the grid, at least I could then make more progress. Good grief, I've nearly had an hour. That has flown by, absolutely flown by. There's the mark of a brilliant, brilliant puzzle. Right, so if this is 7, 8, then this would be pointing at the 9th region. That's the situation where this is not a 3. Okay, let's try it the other way. If that's 5, 6, 7, what's that saying? I haven't got a clue. If that's 5, 6, 7, that becomes 4. And that becomes 3. So we go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's wrong with that? That feels very forcing, doesn't it? Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever that digit is, it's quite difficult to place it in purple. Whatever that digit is has to go in one of those two cells, look. Because it's definitely not the same as 7 or 8. I Don't think that's going to be clever though. Okay. Oh, come on, have an epiphany, Simon. 3, 4. If that's 4, it's got to point at the 5th region, which is we're saying is this one. So it's pointing at it. That's fine. These two also have to point at it, which means this square would have to be. Do we know what that square is? I don't think we do we, in this iteration of the world? 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's quite hard to just visualize this and then work out everything else that's going on. Yeah, that would be interesting only for this cell. Oh, no, that's it. Oh, that's really clever. All right, I forgive myself for this one. This is complicated. Right. Right. It's complicated, but it is seeable. It is seeable if you focus on this cell, which I hadn't been doing. Right. What is the value of this cell? That's the question I want to start with. Now, it's not 1 because of this. It's not 2 or 3. So it is at least 4. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, it has got limited options. I hadn't appreciated that really. It's 4, 5, or 6. Now, if this is a 4, which means that yellow is pointing at orange, this cell is at least a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that needs to be orange, but the orange is already 7 cells. I can't connect that one to it. It just won't work. So this is wrong, which means that this cell is not able to be, well, let's just be very precise about this. What are we now proving? If that's 5, yeah, we're proving this is not 5, because if that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, and that has to be 4, which I've just shown is impossible. So that is 6, that's 7, that's 8. Which means, interestingly, this is part of the 9th region. Right, if that's part of the 9th region, where is the 9 in that region? That could be its top leftmost cell, but the only cell that could... Oh no, it could maybe be over here, could it? Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it can go that way. I was going to say it has to be in one of those two cells, but maybe it can come over here. So ignore me. Now, we've got 6, 7, and 8 now. That doesn't do anything to this digit. I don't think. But it's still a problem for this to be 4, isn't it? For exactly the same reason. If that's a 4, that becomes 5. It puts the... And because this 4 would map to orange, this would need to map to orange and would be too far away. So that is 5. Which means that's not 5, which means because we know this region is 1 less than this region, that is 4. Good grief. There we go. So we haven't... Oh, right, we've tied them together, but 1 higher up than I thought. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as the region sizes. That is now not a 5. This 5 is looking at... Right, yeah, this 5 is now mapping to orange, because orange is the 6th region. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that cell is now orange. This is crazy. How do you do this, Jesper? Now, so this is the 9th region. That cell, which is now a 3 or... Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I said this couldn't be an 8-3 pair. If that's a 3, it's mapping there, saying this is in the 9th region, which would have an arrow on it pointing to the 10th region. So that cell's a 4. 1, 2, 3, which is there, which is quite far away from this. Those two are both in the 9th region. This digit, that needs to map to orange. 1, 2, 3. That's it. This cell can't be a 6. But it would be far too far away from orange, and it needs to see orange. So that's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That must be it, because that's finished our orange 9-cell region. There we go. 9 oranges go into the grid. That cell now is also needing to point to orange and can only be a 3. Wow, okay. These are the 9th region. It's very possible that's not a 7 now. It's very possible it's going to become Sudoku in a moment or two. Now, what? This is the 9th region, so this region down here, the grey region, which is the 9th region, can never hit an arrow. So those 3 digits are out of bounds. I don't know if these 3 arrows are in the same region or not, but I do know that grey cannot touch these in connecting to itself. Right, that's lovely. Right, so grey has to go through here, because if grey goes along the bottom to connect up, that cell is being pointed at by this one, which would imply that this is in the 8th region, but we know the 8th region is the purple region, so that doesn't work. So this must come up through this little alleyway to connect to its friend up here. I don't know if these are the same or not. I'm going to leave them like that just for a moment, just so that we can continue to think about this region. This region now cannot reach these squares up here. It's already got 6 cells in it. Now, so we know this is the 9th region, so its top leftmost cell has a 9 in it. Well, that's either that one or that one now. So there is a 9 in one of these 2 cells. This digit cannot be a 1 now, because it would be, again, we'd be saying it was a purple digit, because it would be pointing at the 9th region. It can't be a 2, because that's the 6th region. We know the 5th region points at the 6th region. So this is 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3. So it's pointing at one of those 2 squares. I mean, it feels very difficult for it to point at any arrow, to be honest. How many regions have I got? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a sort of tentative attempt at a 9th. So it's really only the regions 1, 2, and 3 that I've got completely no idea about. But I know that's not the 1 in the first region. So this region must be the 2nd or 3rd region, I think. So what's that square in then? Oh, that could be blue, could it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it can't be blue. Blue still has to grow. So one of those 2 is blue. That one can't be blue. Right. Okay, let's look at that cell then. So that cell, which I will award the colour of. Ooh, hard to know. I might make this one red, actually. I don't like putting red next to orange, though. I could make it light green. I'll make it light green. This cell here, which I don't really like putting next to dark green, but I can see the difference for once. This is not in the 9th region, and it's not in 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 regions. So this cell, which is defining its region because it's the top leftmost cell in its region, it's the top leftmost cell in the puzzle that we haven't allocated yet, is not a 2. So that is a 1 or a 3. So this is either the 1st region or it's the 3rd region. Now, if it's the 3rd region, any arrows in it need to point at the 4th region, which means it couldn't run into those cells. So it would have to go through that, would it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hang on, I've got blue to worry about as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say blue goes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that's not enough room for it to be the 3rd region, I think. I think if this is the 3rd region, there is a problem with the world. But I'm very prepared to gainsay my own brain here and say that my brain is wrong. Let me think about this again. If that's the third region, we know any arrows in this region have to point at the blue region. So these two are out of bounds for this region. They cannot run into those two cells. And yet we must achieve a 9-cell total. So we can take that one. We can take one of these two, but not both, because one of these needs to be in the blue region. So we could take 5 there, 6, 7 as a minimum. That's them, and therefore this works because this cell could point at region 4, but I've only taken 7 cells here. Now what cell am I going to take for my 8th and 9th cell? This and this are not in green. So both of these have to get out. You can see this is going to have to come down here. This is going to have to come down here. And there's no room to take an 8th cell in green. It's just, you just can't do it. So I am now convinced that that is the first region. Now, if it's the first region, it points at the second region when it runs into some arrows down here. So that's definitely got to be in the green region. I think, oh no, because it can run through the sideways ones now. So if it runs through sideways arrows, it's pointing at the second region over here somewhere. And if this is, if red is part of the second region, although these don't all have to be the same, do they? But if red is in the second region, it needs a 2 in its top leftmost corner, its top leftmost cell. What's that in then? Because that's pointing at another cell. So that can't be grey. And it can't be 1. Yeah, okay. I think that is in the second region. I'm going to uncolour those just for a moment. I just want to think exclusively about this one. Now, this cell here, it has an arrow in it, so it cannot be in the grey region, which is the 9th region. Otherwise, this would be saying it's pointing at a 10th region. So this must be part of either the region 1, region 2 or region 3, which are the only 3 regions we haven't found. I cannot connect, these have both got 1s in them. There's many reasons this doesn't work. You can't connect them orthogonally with only 9 cells, and there would be repeated ones if they were in the same region. So this is in either region 2 or region 3. Now if it was in region 3, it would need to point at region 4, which is that one. It's not doing that. So that is in region 2. This cell is in region 3. And now I am running out of colours. I'm going to make this yellow again. We're going to reuse yellow on the basis we're not going to bump into that one. So this is region 3. Now something has got to escape from this bottom left part of the grid, hasn't it? How many cells is that? 20. Right. Okay. Ah, alright, I can do something here. I can do this, I think. Because if I didn't do that, if I said that grey came to the bottom here, then we've got 18 cells that we need to put into the red and the yellow region, which would have to be garnered from those 13 cells. So that doesn't work. So therefore we need to make room for one of these to come along the bottom and get out. Now, do we know which one it is? I'm tempted to say it's got to be the 3 region that gets out, simply because if I'm going to have anything that looks at the 4 region, it's going to be one of those arrows, isn't it? Possibly both of those arrows. What, I mean, what? Nothing can point at the first region. Yeah, actually, maybe that's the question I need to ask, is what are these two arrows pointing at in terms of what region are they pointing at? Now, what are the options? They cannot be in the second region, pointing at the third region, because this is in the third region. So in order for these to be in the second region, red would have to come down here, which I don't think it can in terms of total, but obviously yellow is trapped in then. So these are not part of the second region. They can't be part of the first region, because the first region needs to point at the second region, which is over here. It's not up here. So these have to be part of the third region. It's the only thing left that they can be part of. So those are yellow. And therefore there's nothing can interrupt the flow of yellow along the bottom of the grid. Otherwise, again, we're going to trap a region in there that's not going to be capable of reaching 9 cells in size. So we've now got 8 cells of yellow just done just like that. These cells have to be looking at blue up here. But that could be blue. I was going to say we now know what that digit is, but we don't, because if that's blue, well, we know to within a small degree of stuff what this is, don't we? Because it's either looking at a blue here, which would make this a 3, or it's looking at that blue there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which makes that a 7. So this is 3 or 7. This one's less, we don't know what this one is at all, really. That could be blue, or it could be pointing at any of the other blues in the column. So now the 2 region is trapped in the left-hand side of the grid. Do these have to be? No. Yeah, that can't be yellow, because yellow we know points at blue, and that's definitely not pointing at blue. And that can't be in grey, because grey doesn't point to anything. So that cell is red, which needs to point at maybe this cell or these cells. It could point at a lot of different cells. What about that one? There, that also has to. Oh, that's beautiful. We've done it. We've done it. Well, actually, we have actually done it. We have actually done it, because I've got 8 cells in yellow. What colour is that digit? Well, it cannot be grey, because that would imply this is pointing at a 10th region. Yellow cannot get to this cell, and even if it couldn't, it wouldn't point at a blue cell. So that must be a red cell, which means there needs to be a yellow cell over here. And that yellow cell cannot be on an arrow, because if it was on an arrow, it would be well, it can't be on an arrow anyway. It can't orthogonally connect to the rest of it. So that's got to be yellow, which means that cell is a 4. Yellow is finished. Yellow is finished. So we actually therefore know what that digit is. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 5. Oh, only just avoided being a 4. So that's looking good, isn't it? This region is the third region. So its top left-handmost cell is a 3, and that's that one. So that's a 3. That's a 7. That cell, we still don't know what's going on with this green one. The green one, right, these arrows are clearly pointing at the second region now. So those two must both be green. Therefore, that's green, that's green, that's green to connect this green up. That's fenced in my blue. So blue is now finished. What's that digit? Well, that's got to be green, hasn't it? It can't be part of anything else. So we've got, okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. We need one more, so we get an H shape in the grid, making our ninth cell here, and an H cell. That's now got to be grey. It can't reach anything else. Grey is the 9th region. 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 cells in it. So these cells here have all got to be red, because we can't orthogonally connect those 7 cells to this one. And therefore those 3 must all also be red. So we've now got 6 cells of red. And Okay, this digit is pointing at blue, isn't it? So 1, 2, 3 is 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8. I will pencil mark it. Actually, I will as well, because it's not 7. It's got to 7 in its region already. So that's just 4, 5, 6 or 8. These two arrows are pointing at region. Well, that one's interesting, because that needs to point at the red region, but it can't be a 3 and it can't be a 4, so it's at least a 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is 5 or 6, and there's definitely a red cell in one of those cells. That one, 1, 2, 3, 4, that could just be a 5, couldn't it? 5, 6, 7 or 8. That's 5, 6, 7 or 8, I think. That's a bit worrying, isn't it? How? I don't. Okay, and I've not put a 2. Right, don't forget, the red region is the second region. So it needs to have a 2 in its top leftmost cell. Now we know this region reaches this row, so the 2 can't be there actually. So the 2 in red is in one of those 3, which is still worth, actually that is still worth pencil marking, because now look, I've got a 2 up here, I've got a 2 in one of those 3 cells. How many 2s are we expecting there to be in the first 2 columns of the grid? Well, the answer is 2 2s, and I know there's 1 2 there and 1 2 there. So that's all the 2s I'm allowed in columns 1 and 2, so that cell's a 3. Which is the world's most used. No, it's not. Ah, it's beautiful. Oh no, I've broken the puzzle. Ah. Or no, I haven't broken the puzzle. I thought I'd broken it. I couldn't see how to put a 3 in red. I've now got so many 3s looking at this bottom left hand side of the grid. I didn't think I could put a 3 in. 3 can't go in there by Sudoku. It can't go in here. It can't go in here. It can't go there, and it's not equal to 1. So the 3 in red goes there. Oh yeah, simple Sudoku. Look, where does 7 go in the bottom row? It can't repeat in yellow. So that's got to be a 7. So maybe it's Sudoku that's going to get us out of trouble here. That would be intriguing indeed. 5 is pointing at that. Yeah, okay. There must be an arrow I've not used. Where is the unused arrow in the puzzle? I don't feel like there are too many arrows I've not used. Okay. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. What else could it be? I mean, it could be that we've got to do some irregular Sudoku. Let me just think about that for a moment or two and see if I can see anything obvious. Well, okay, you can do the law of leftovers on the first 4 rows, look. So if you look at the first 4 rows and we ask what we're expecting to find in the first 4 rows of the grid, a very simple answer would be 4 lots of the digits 1 to 9, because each row must contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. So those rows contain 4 lots of the digits 1 to 9. But we know that the yellow region contains 1 lot of the digit 1 to 9, so I'm going to take those out. So now the highlighted region should contain 3 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Well, the green region contains 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. So now the highlighted region should contain 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. Sorry, 2 sets of the digits 1 to 9. I'll take out purple as well. That's entirely within the first 4 rows. And we reach this position where these highlighted cells are 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. But we also know that the whole of the blue region is 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. So this 1, 6 here must repeat here in order for that to be true. And therefore that cell, look, has become an 8. Oh dear. Well, that was that useful or not? Perhaps it wasn't as useful as I was hoping. Golly gosh, okay. We could... That's not a 3 by Sudoku. Maybe double-clicking 3s. I seem to have a lot of 3s when I was thinking about this before. Yeah, okay. Where does 3 go? In purple. That's a good question. It goes there. It's the only place left for it. So now we can ask... Or can we? Can we do any better than that? Which... I don't know if I can actually. 3 in grey? Is that restricted? Hang on. Yeah, maybe that is restricted. Where do I put 3 in the grey region? It's not in this row at all. It's not in this column at all. It's not in this column at all. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. It's not here. So 3 in grey has to go there, I want to say, which is surprising and welcome, but perhaps not. Yeah, so we get left with an X-wing of 3s. 3s in the 8 shape, 3s in the blue shape at the top. But at least that's another digit, isn't it? So that's something we can be pleased about. Let's try that again then, shall we? Which digit do we think is going to be the next? 4 in green has to be in one of 3 places. 5 in blue is a little bit interesting. That 5 is plonking a 5 in one of those 2 cells, which means neither of those 2 cells down there is now a 5. 2, 3, 4. Now, does that help us at all? Yeah, okay, I'll repeat that trick a little bit. Where does 7 go in yellow? And the answer is, again, I don't really know, but it's in one of those cells, which means 7 in blue is in the same place as 5. So that becomes a 5-7 pair. That's not 7. That's become 6 or 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's one of those 2 cells. That's become 5 or 6. If we can just get this down a little bit further, we might be... Though, look, that's not 8 in the corner either. That's become 4 or... Oh, 8! It's just looking at that square. That's a 6. That's a 5. That's huge. That's a 4. But much more interestingly now, these cells are pointing at red cells. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's got to be red by the power of this digit. Now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's pointing at a different one. So that's great. These two actually give us 2 different red cells. So now, 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is beautiful. So I've got 8 red cells now. So how could that be red? It can't be. So it's grey, and if it's grey, it's the top leftmost cell of grey, which means it's labelling its thingy. So it's a 9. So that's a 9. There's a 2 in one of those cells. This column is now very restricted, isn't it? I haven't put into it 1, 2, and 6. So that cell is a 2 or a 6 by Sudoku. That's a 1 or a 2 by Sudoku. And that's a 1, 2, or a 6 by Sudoku. I've got one more cell to find in each of these regions. So if that's red, it is 2. But if that's grey, it is... Oh yeah, look, that cell can't be a 2 in the red region because it's not the top leftmost cell. That's beautiful. So that's 6. Does that do it or not? I don't think it does, actually. I'm not sure. I sort of feel like I'm on the cusp of understanding how these regions finish off. I can draw some more region boundaries in. That's going to make me feel a little bit better about myself. There we go. I just can't do the last bit. Right, let's go back to numbers then. What could we say here? Have we exposed any... Oh, that 6 is doing some work. So that's a 6, that's a 1. So 6, though, look. Oh, look, there's 6 in one of 2 places, I think, in green. Now, one of those 2 cells. Which, unfortunately, I don't think is quite good enough. What about... I don't know. 1 in purple is now a bit restricted. It's only got one of 2 cells left. Can't go there, can't go here by Sudoku. So there's a 1 in one of these. I suppose I know what those digits are, aren't they? They are 2, 3 and 9. Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's quite helpful. That's huge. That's done it. That's done it. Because now 9 in the top row is over here. So 9 in yellow can only go in that cell. That shifts the 2 over, which makes this a 1 and makes this... Well, this is now the top left cell in the red region must be this one. It can't be that one, or it would need to be a 2. So that's going to complete the red, and we've done the colouring. Somehow or other, we have labelled the colours, and I will stop at this moment and just say, Jesper, what have you done here? This is just absolutely insane. That cell is not a 3. In this column, look, I've not put 2s, 3s and 9s in. So that's just 2 or 3. That, oh no, that's 2 or 9. These 2 squares are 8 and 9 by the power of redness. No, still not yielding. What about those digits then? They've got to be 1, 6, 7 and 8. Now we can get rid of 1 from this one. We can get rid of nothing from that one. We can get rid of 7 from this one. And we can get rid of nothing from that one. Bobbins. Can we do my 5s and 7s? Of course not. Right, what is it going to be now then? What mysteries are we still left to deal with? Is it going to be some sort of irregular trick again? Can we do anything? Is there a natural division of the grid vertically that I can use? There's nothing immediately I'm seeing. What about row 8? 2, 4, 8 and 9. That was a terrible choice. That was a terrible choice of place to look. I think we only get 1 elimination, which is the 9 from this cell as a result of this 9. 4 in orange, maybe? 1. No, actually, it can't be there because of that 4. So 4 in orange is a bit restricted. One of 2 places. No, I was about to say 8 in purple, not realising I'd already got the 8 in purple. That would not have been a sensible place to start. What about, I know those digits, I suppose, so I should be able to work out these 2 digits, shouldn't I? These digits are 1, 4, 5 and 6. And can we do any eliminating? We can get rid of 4 from that one, 1 from that one, and 5. 6 from this one. So in fact, look, 8 and 9 now have to be a pair there, and there's an 8 here, which is lovely. So that gets me another couple of digits. Yeah, this row looks like it might be a place to look now. We need 5s, 7s and 9s. So we can see the only place for 9 now is here because of this 9. So that becomes, whoopsie, 5 or 7. And can we do better than that? That can't be 6. There's a 6 looking straight at it. And these digits have got to be 1, 5, 6 and 7. So I'm going to put those in. I can see that can't be 6. That can't be 1 or 5. And that doesn't actually seem to resolve anything. Bar humbug. This is tricky. It's always tricky at the end of a puzzle like this. I think partly it's fatigue as well. I get tired. And my natural ineptitude at Sudoku comes to the fore. Right, what about 7, 8 and 9? Okay, that's got to be a 7 or an 8 because it can't be 9. That one, on the other hand, I think has all the options in the world available to it. Oh, there's a 9, looking at this. That's 8, that's 9. That's huge. Okay, that's great. That gets me a 2 here and a 3 here and a 9 at the top. Oh, wow. That actually did do some things. So I can take 2s out of these. I can take 9 out of here. I've got a 4, 8 pair left. That 8 is looking at this 7. So this is now a 9. Whoa. Where did all that come from? That's not 7 anymore. That's not 7 anymore. And for our next trick, well, we've got 1s, 4s and 5s. That's a naked single. It can only be a 4. There's a 1, 5 in the column. So we've got a 1 or a 5 at the base of the grid. That 4 is seeing the 8. Oh, this is good. This is good now. We might be on the right track. Those 2 squares I should know. They are... Oh, no, they're not. They're 7 and 9. Which we can therefore fill in. 9 and 7 go in the grid. 6 goes here. 4 goes here. We've got a 1, 5 pair there, so that should be a 6. I'm going to trust my pencil marks like you wouldn't believe. This column, what's it not got in it? 2, apparently. Come on. Come on, this would be a triumph if I can finish this. No. Okay, don't try and go quickly, it won't work. We know what those digits are, don't we? They're 2, 5, 6 and 8. So that's a naked single, that's a 6. It sees 2, 5 and 8 in the column. 2 is now naked there. It can't go in either of those squares. So those 2 squares become a 5, 8 pair. And now this cell needs to be a 1. That column, or that row has not got a 1 in it yet. That 1 gives me some more joy. Look at that. That gets me a 5 here, which gets me a 1 here, which gets me my 5 and my 7 over there. My 5 and my 8 go into the grid. Go on, keep going. 1, 6 and 8 in this column. That's a naked single. Can't be 1 or 6 because of these cells. So I now need 1 and 6 into this cell, which apparently is all possible. But I think we're doing okay now, aren't we? 2 and 8 in this column. We can see the order of those. This box has not got 4, 5 or 7 in it. So that is a naked single. Can fill in all those, fill in that, fill in that, fill in that, fill in that, hopefully. Gets me a 6 down here. There's a 5 here. And now we just need 1 and 9. And it's going to be absolutely magnificent. Yes! Wow. Wow, what a puzzle that is. That is... I don't know how people have the idea to think that that rule set can even remotely be possible. And yet it is. And the logic is just beautiful. To come up with that, Jesper, how did you do it? It's just magnificent. All this stuff at the top, the way you can actually disambiguate the top left-hand cells. It was completely and utterly natural in the end. And really, really beautiful. It is a stunning puzzle, that. It's a... Yeah, if I was rating it, I would give it exactly what everyone else has. I would give it 100%, no doubt. 5 stars out of 5 difficulty. It's a long video. 94 minutes so far. I'm sorry about that. That's because it's quite a hard puzzle. But what I hope most of all is that some of you out there decided to have a go at this and got through it, because I'd love to hear from you, because I think you're just going to be blown away by the genius, again, of Jesper Josefsson. What a constructor. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.